What is going on, everybody? It's episode 169 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Today, I think we've got the perfect topics to make you feel crazy.
Today was this is one of those days where you had to like carve out what the show was going to be. Some days the topics just don't fit or don't hit the right way. This
I think
first
it fell
topic,
into place.
This one did. This first topic is going to be the most ghoulish of ghoulish topics, and you are going to. You're not going to love it because it's awful. But
Honestly, the
we're
second topic is ghoulish as well. The third one is just, it's going to make you feel like you're losing your mind.
So ghoulish insanity.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's what we're all about here.
We're going to do it. And we have a guest host today. Would you please introduce yourself?
I would love to. I'm thrilled to be on Pop Culture Crisis episode 169 for reasons I will not explain on this family-friendly show.
Because we're very mature.
I'm Sarah Patch Lids. You can find me typically on Timcast IRL. I just got locked out of Twitter, so follow me on minds.com.
I was going to say, didn't you just get your Instagram
Yes,
back?
I just got the ability to stream live on Instagram. So you guys can follow me anywhere, but I won't be tweeting very much for a while.
And I said that I took more offense with the fact that they called their review of your, what did they call it? They called
a careful review.
Okay,
that's a lie. Fake news.
They're lying.
Yeah.
They're lying. So the stuff we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about Marvel and Disney and the absolute total ghoulishness that is choosing to use an actor that has passed away's Twitter account to advertise their bazillion-dollar films because they have no tact and they're stupid. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this TikTok nurse that Lydia and Mary have a problem with, the way she looks, and her what would you call it? Her judgment of.
Okay.
I don't care how she looks.
You're making it sound like we have ad hominem attacks.
No ad hominem.
She looks
here.
fine. She's just a bad person.
Yeah,
she's absolutely a bad person. We're going to get into that. So she did like a critique of Stranger Things actress Natalia Dyer's looks.
Entire face.
Her entire face.
Everything needs to be changed.
And so we're going to get into that. It's very weird. And then after that, we're going to talk about Stranger Things in the dystopian future where nothing you watch will ever be the same the second time you watch it because they can change it whenever they want to. So if you ladies are ready, we will just get right into it. Are we ready, Mary?
We are ready.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Well, before we do that, we do have...
Don't tell me.
We do have Chet Hanks today.
We're so blessed.
Yes, let's do it.
There is never a day without Chet Hanks.
Blessed.
So, yes. So I'm going to view the story here. He's in Greece, guys.
Just intellectualize like what they need in order to fucking work out and get a sick ass pump in. Like they need a fucking gym membership. They need to be at home.
We love Chet.
Like you can't fucking work out on vacation. Like you fucking can't work out if you don't have access to a gym. You can fucking get it anywhere at any time, no matter where you are, what you're doing. You just have to have the fucking commitment. You can't have the fucking excuses.
Woo.
You got to get out of your fucking head.
What's our F word count now?
This shit.
High.
Just fucking hit the floor. Just fucking bust it out.
We give him the benefit of this.
If you want fucking good
only
recommendations on body weight and workouts, then fucking DM me. DM me Baseline.
He's great.
Let's fucking get this shit.
I
If you're
love
ready to
him.
drop the fucking
I think Dane
excuses,
DM'd
just
him
fucking take
Baseline.
action.
Really?
And just stop fucking intellectualizing this shit. Get out of your own fucking head and into action. We can't think our way into positive action. We can only act our way into positive
So inspiring.
thinking, period. If you're ready to fucking start,
He's Zoomers and
if you're ready to
millennials.
start
Love
living
it.
this shit, living it, breathing
Living.
it, becoming it, instead of fucking thinking about it and imagining the day when one day everything aligns for you to start. Okay, now I'm fucking good to go get out, go after my fucking dreams, become the person I'm meant to be. If you're ready to stop fucking thinking about it, imagining it, fucking writing it down in your fucking storybook that never fucking happens.
my
then
goodness.
DM me all in and let's fucking go. I'm not fucking stopping, and I'm not fucking here in the middle of fucking Greece on the other side of the world.
That's beautiful.
So we
I
give,
love how animated he
like,
gets.
so wound.
He's like so angry.
we give Chet the F word pass.
That's right.
This is normally we try to be a family friendly show, but we do give Chet Hanks the pass on his F words.
Yeah.
There was a great Marlon Wayans skit the other day about how the N word pass is regional and it only goes to certain people.
Well,
But
here on Pop
Really?
Culture, we give you
we
the
give
F word pass.
Yeah.
just for Chet Hanks, and nobody else gets that pass.
And then we behave for the rest of the show.
So-
And I love when he says, period.
Period. And he's right in the sense that you really can't think your way into action. He's just saying it in an incredibly convincing and charismatic way that makes me very, very happy. Like
I love when he did the mocking voice, too.
I like when he beats his chest. It's,
Oh
the,
my
it's,
gosh.
the, it's the chest beating
This.
for me. Yes. So
Gotta think.
I'm guessing he's at his dad's villa in Greece because he's a very nice place out there. And he's
Beautiful.
yes.
Beautiful.
So,
yeah.
Chet, as usual, giving you your words of wisdom today. You can't think your way into action. You have to act your way into action. And he's right.
An
He's
object at
absolutely
rest
right.
tends to stay at rest.
Yes,
I love
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna now that we've got something good, we're gonna go into something very ghoulish. So
Yeah.
allow me
Strap
to strap in. So it says Disney and Marvel face backlash for using the late Chadwick Boseman's Twitter account to promote Black Panther 2:
WTF.
Wakanda Forever. To which I say, how did this get by legal? Like, it has to be a deal they worked out with the family,
Yeah,
right?
as a state.
I was always disturbed by like the way we go about treating a dead person's social media presence, especially if they're well known. But either way, like Facebook has the memorialized status of like anyone who's passed away on that platform, which I'm sure are like in the millions at this point.
Yeah.
It's questionable to me, and I think this gets into like using someone's image and name.
Yeah.
This gets into like stealing someone's intellectual property and stealing their image for marketing. I think it should be like something that they'll get like legally penalized for.
They should.
My guess is they cleared it with his family first. That they
That's
asked,
even worse.
It shouldn't even be up to the family. I don't even know if that's okay.
Yeah,
like
next of
because
kin.
think about especially celebrities' families who use that celebrity as their cash cow. Even after they die, part of their estate is their social media presence and the bargaining power that gives them.
Maybe what we'll have to do, like what like celebrities and famous people will have to do, is like write it into their will.
Yeah.
That you cannot use. It's like that.
We're getting to that point. It's so disgusting.
There was that. There's a great meme that I saw the other day. I think I mentioned it on here yesterday. It's a guy, and it says it's a medical bracelet, but it says TikTok nurses can't talk about.
I love
can't
it.
dance about my death.
Right.
Like you're gonna have to write into your will, like, and none of you ungrateful people that tried to take advantage of me while I was alive with lots of money get to use my name and likeness just because you're my next of kin.
I'm going to say something really sobering here that you guys might not really like. This might not be quite the place for it. But as far as living wills go, everybody should have one no matter how young you are. Because if you get hit by a car and you're on life support, your family's going to want to know what to do with you. They're just going to do what they think is right by you. And the other thing that you guys need to know is that a life alert bracelet is not good enough. And a tattooed will is not legally binding. It's not.
But isn't there like all those stories of like contracts written on cocktail napkins that end up being legally binding? Wouldn't that be the same thing?
I don't think so. I think wills are a little bit different. I think they
Okay.
obviously have to be notarized and everything, all the usual.
So it says, so we're going to go right into it. It says, apparently having learned nothing from the overwhelmingly negative reaction to their recent licensing of Marvel icon Stan Lee's likeness for future CGI revivals. Yes, we covered that on here, that basically POW Entertainment or whatever it is that he owned and then later had all these contract disputes with over his over elder abuse of him, as they were like forcing him to sign stuff in blood when he was like on his deathbed.
That's not cool.
Now they've got a deal going with that company to use his likeness post
Mortem.
in his death.
Yeah.
They can use his likeness to market Marvel and Disney properties, which is evil and ghoulish and weird.
Yeah, deep fakes are something not a lot of people even know exists, or like the level of technology that's available to do them. And now I think we're seeing like the repercussions of it before we're taking any like caution.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the Obama deepfakes years ago that were very, very convincing.
Yeah.
Very convincing.
And like, then you don't even know who has the best technology for it, because if it's good enough, you won't know.
Yep.
Yeah, this just strikes me as an arms race of who's going to have the best technology to make their fake videos.
I am sure the CIA is already using plenty of them to topple small
Yeah.
governments.
I'm
Like,
sure,
I have
yeah.
no.
And they have an interest in not showing their hand, like not showing how well they're able to do it. So
Of course.
I remember I went one night into a deep dive conspiracy of like of calling Zelensky like a deep fake of somebody like
Dangerous.
yeah, like it's like,
Like,
I got a kick out of it. I mean, I don't buy
celebrities,
it, but
obviously politicians have to worry about that, but celebrities should be thinking about this too. And I hope that, you know, Chadwick Boseman had a will that like covered at least some part of his, like, protecting his image and name, but why wouldn't this be part of it?
Yep. So it says, unsurprisingly, the use of a deceased man's image by both the company and Boseman's family, the latter of whom have reportedly taken over running the actor's account following his passing,
Gross.
to market a major corporate product, sparked a wave of outrage amongst audiences, many of whom took to social media to express their personal disbelief at these decisions. And I think they're right. There is something unbelievably creepy about doing it for such a reason. Like, it's not
especially because we don't essentially we don't know what someone experiences after they die.
Yeah.
Who knows, like, how people might feel about something they did while they were living now they're dead, if they're, you know, still in, like, some form of consciousness. I think it goes against their freedom of conscience to promote something that they did while they were living.
Argument.
It's the same thing as, like, these hologram performances.
That's
It's
interesting.
The same thing as after Lil Peep died, and they were still releasing his unreleased music. They're still releasing a lot of these dead rappers' music, like Pop Smoke or
Tupac gets
all
like
of
a
these
new
people.
album like every few years.
XXX Tentacion, his music
WTF.
too. Like, I don't know if that is ethical. I think it goes against their freedom of conscience that you're using their artistic platform after they no longer have the ability to choose what they're putting out there.
That's very interesting, the hologram argument, because I wouldn't have ever, like, because they're performing their song that they wrote or whatever, that they were part of the creation of, I never thought of that as something that would necessarily be bad. But what if one of the promoters at some concert they're working on, they didn't get along with them, or they don't agree with the message, or, I mean, there's a million reasons people don't do things these days. I think people are usually too sensitive over why they boycott certain things. But, like, it's completely logical to think, like, whose right is it to allow that person's music to make money for somebody they had no ability to actually negotiate with beforehand.
Right.
Well,
I think this sounds like something that needs to start being written into the living wills of people who are above a certain level of fame.
I wonder if it's in the contracts. If it's literally in their contracts, like oh, by the way, and Disney's like, we'll
they're
pay
so
you this.
cleverly written.
In the case
that
of your death,
you could read
yeah.
over it and have no idea what the consequences
They're
are.
the best
after.
lawyers. Yeah.
Well, we talked about that the other day about, like, people, the comic book writers who were like, they're getting these small payouts from Marvel and Disney for contracts that they signed in 2007 because they didn't read them thoroughly enough, and they didn't consult a lawyer beforehand. And plus, a lot of this, because the technology is all so new, there isn't law or precedent set to do any of this.
I forget what context this was brought up, or who brought it up, but, like, there are contracts like in the entertainment industry now that write in such a vague way that it could encompass work in an artist's work in the metaverse or in the, like, possible multiverse. Like, I don't even know what that means, if that refers to, like, virtual worlds, or if they're really accounting for the possibility that we have access to, like, another dimension. But, like,
kind of interesting.
They are willing to own you and your entire person, your image, your likeness, your words, your conscience, your soul.
Yeah.
It's literally selling your soul.
Yeah.
They're willing to take ownership of the entirety of your being.
I've mentioned this before. There was a movie in 2013 called The Congress by Robin Wright, where she basically she sells her likeness to a company. Like, and then they can use it forever and ever and ever. And that's, like, the concept of, like, eventually they will make her act in movies that she would not want to be part of.
I don't like
that's
that.
a huge part of, like, what we talk about now. I complain a lot about actors who after after the fact complain about roles they did, but at least they agreed to do it beforehand, and their sensibilities changed later. Now you're not even allowed to have your sensibilities change. Your sensibilities are being chosen for you.
But
and
you did sign it.
There are actors and actresses getting deep faked into pornography right now who are living.
That's gross.
How is that legal?
Unacceptable. I don't think it is.
It's not legal.
Yeah.
I don't think.
But it's very hard to.
But
like,
what are the repercussions?
Right.
Like, how do you go
it's
after
hard
these
to
people?
enforce.
So some of these tweets, it says using a dead actor's account to promote a movie as if it's some homage is so gross. This is where a lot of these people, where we joke about the kind of the NPCs who used to talk about bring down the corporate structure, and now they're like CNN, Disney. We love corporations.
Yes,
Please allow me to consume. They love these things when they get to make when they're part of the in crowd, but then they don't realize the absolute danger of like these companies don't care about you. They don't care about any of that. And it's weird to see the same people now defend them. But something like this is just blatant enough and just brazen enough that it kind of shocks the people asleep into realizing these people don't care about you. Disney can race and gender swap all the characters in the name of inclusion that they want. They don't give a crap about you. They don't give a crap about any marginalized community. They care about the larger marketing share that advertising to another group offers them.
Duh.
Yeah.
We know this. Hopefully this is a red pill to people. Somebody remarked that this is like super depraved, and that's a word I don't usually see like out there on social media.
Yep.
And they're entirely correct. This is not right, and we know it on a very deep level, even if we can't really pin down exactly why we think that is.
So it's like, even if you got permission, why would this ever be a question you'd ask his family?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
We were wondering if we could use Chadwick's. I could understand if they were using his Twitter account to advertise charity work that he was part of beforehand, or events in his name that are done to raise money for charity. Even then, he's not given the opportunity to do his due diligence with these groups. Say he works with a cause before, right? Chadwick Boseman helps some charity that he thought that he was very passionate about, right? But he passes away. But then they want to use that account to advertise with that same charity. Well, are the same people in charge?
Things change.
Things change. That makes a difference.
Yeah, I don't think that would be ethical either.
This is such an interesting question, because do you lose your autonomy once you die?
That's essentially
now you do.
how
how
they're acting. Yeah.
So just come up with really good passwords and tell everyone no.
Yes.
By using his name, I think they're also equating his entire existence and what he will be remembered for as the product he was a part of creating, and only that, and it reduces him just to this character he played.
Beyond the fact that he played like so many iconic roles, like he was a very, very established and sought after actor before this movie. He should not have to be remembered as
those things he was in before also use his Twitter account to promote their sequels and spin-offs.
No one should.
No.
It's
gross.
Then now everything is up in the air. There's no consensus on what to do. And if his family allows it because it enriches themselves, then there's nothing to be done there.
Yeah, I blame his family.
He played James Brown and Jackie Robinson in movies. So he played.
yeah.
Even that's an interesting thing. Like that's a depiction by somebody else's life as a dramatization. So I
understand dramatizations more because you're not actually using their likeness, and
but
no one is under the impression that it's like
Yeah.
a documentary,
Right?
But the hologram thing is literally taking their image and just copy and pasting it for a new audience in a new context that they didn't agree to.
And they did, like I said, they did do this with Stan Lee, where they licensed his likeness after he passed. The poor guy can't rest.
That's
like
not cool.
His life was hell in his last years after he lost his wife. All the people who wanted his money, the people who wanted to use him for business opportunities, like videos are like talking about him signing stuff in with his own blood, like where it looks like he's at like a Comic-Con table and it looks like he's being forced to be there, like by handlers. Like and that's even before he dies. What's happening now is almost even worse because you can't even defend yourself in any way.
I don't know, man, because they're gone. So it's like they obviously don't care, and clearly their families don't care. It's just so disrespectful.
I think maybe they don't care, but I believe in an afterlife, and
right.
A lot of these people in the entertainment industry maybe have made films or shows or whatever that promote things they realized later on, like in their afterlife, that they don't want to promote anymore.
Who
and
knows
now
if they would regret it.
Their image and identity is equated to that and is used to sell it.
Yep.
Although I suspect in the big scheme of things, after you die, even if you are able to like look back on what's going on in the world, you're like, I don't care at all about that. Not at all.
I wouldn't suspect they care, but
I don't know.
Still, I think it's a violation of their conscience.
Yes.
So is it possible? Is it not possible that you pay these executives at Disney very, very big large sums of money, and there isn't one dude there who's just like, hey, boss, maybe this isn't the best idea? Or is this a product of them being in their own weird corporate echo chamber that doesn't allow them to see this for the mistake that it was? Yeah,
they're so isolated and like self-aggrandizing. They all just like fillet each other and like tell each other that everything they do
it's a circle of jerks.
Yeah, it's like genius and artistic, and like if you look at the trailer for Wakanda Forever, you can even tell the they're so self-aggrandizing. They think of themselves as like the elites that make taste, that make morality.
They're wrong.
They like make the rules, and we have to listen and consume.
That's exactly what it is. Listening, it's consume, consume. It's
like listen and believe, but
it's the NPC meme. It just says consume.
Consume.
Yep. All right, let's do some super chats.
Okay, Johnny Beck sent us a thumbs up at the beginning of the show. Thank you for that.
Thumbs up, Johnny.
Hostel Bogey Inbound said, I enjoy your show.
Well, thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
Chris said, a Chet is never late, Frodo Baggins, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means
Of course,
to.
correct.
There is a Chet actually exists outside of time.
Yes.
A Chet is actually immune to the concept of time. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
He's pure spirit.
It's true.
James Orenthal Wen said Kevin Hart is lauded because he excludes his socials from any of his contracts, so Boseman's likely weren't, and therefore remained accessible to Disney.
Well, Kevin Hart is a smart man. Yeah. This is the Chet. Me and Dane were talking earlier about like we could do Chet cast, and it's just how there's that one podcast that does nothing but they review Joe Rogan episodes.
Yeah, it's great.
What?
They're really popular.
Yeah, it's its own podcast. What they do is they review. I want a daily podcast. It doesn't have to be an hour. It's
really short. Yeah,
a 30-minute podcast where we just review Chet's Instagram stories and posts for the day.
Does anyone listen to the one that reviews Joe Rogan?
Yes,
but they don't listen to Joe Rogan.
That's a thing.
Like I need the Cliff Notes version of the Joe Rogan with fill in the blank.
There's there's people who like reviews of movies but don't like. I watch a lot of comic reviews.
That's how I watch movies. I read the review.
Or for me, it was pro wrestling. Pro wrestling got so bad that I couldn't bring myself to watch it anymore. But I still loved hearing podcasters talk about it, even if I wasn't watching it. So we need to do that with Chet.
Yes.
A 30-minute podcast every day where we talk about, getting baseline and getting
what if
jacked
you disagree
and sober.
with him?
Well, I imagine that Chet Hanks would be okay with that he would support me.
We try not to be an echo chamber here.
We are not a Chet echo. Well, we're a pretty big Chet echo chamber. Let's not lie.
Let's not lie to ourselves.
Eventually, we'll find something that we disagree with him
I feel
on.
like Chet would strongly encourage free speech, though, because he seems like the kind of person who's mentally tough enough to be able to
He's willing to get trashed to his face.
Exactly.
So,
it's great.
Fair enough.
All right. We are gonna. This one is particularly ghoulish as well, just in a different and stranger way.
Great.
So it says TikTok nurse apologizes after creating a list of plastic surgery procedures to perform on Natalia Dyer.
What? Can we show the video, please?
Yes, we're gonna watch the video first. Have no fear. So let's get this started.
All right, guys, let's talk about Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things.
Let's
First of all,
not.
she killed it in Stranger Things, and if you don't like Stranger Things, we cannot be friends. So,
Oh my God.
Natalia's injector. This is what I would do. We start by treating those masseters, and we all know how much I love treating masseters to help slim the face. Next, I would actually add a little bit of chin filler just to help fill out her chin and make her whole face more of like a heart shaped. Next, I would add a little bit to the lips, just a little bit, nothing crazy, just a nice pout. And then we'd get in there and do a little bit of Botox. I'd give her a nice brow lift to help open up her eyes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to top it off, we'd start working with some Sculptra. She does seem to have more thin skin, and we want to prevent that from getting thinner and create more collagen. All right, let's see what the final product would give us. Ta-da! All right, how do we like my Photoshop skills? As we can tell, her jaw is slimmer, her chin is more pointy, and her eyebrows are more lifted, and gotta love that pout.
She looks like a guitar pick.
Yeah, I loved when you said that.
Yes, that's hilarious. She looks like everyone else. Boring.
A very pretty guitar pick, but the Photoshop makes her look like a guitar pick.
Yeah, the
now,
Photoshop's
we
not
could
good.
say she's just bad at Photoshop, and if
Yes.
she actually did those procedures, it would look great. I don't really care. I don't think they would look great anyways.
Plus, I don't trust a person who
And-
thinks that they can be better at actually messing with your skin and not get better at Photoshop first, then come to me
Right,
about.
you better be more visually attuned than that.
Exactly.
It's like when you see advertisements for it's like discount LASIK eye surgery. I'm like, if there's one thing that you should just go crazy and pay full price on,
Might splurge
it's
on
your
a surgery
eyes.
once in a
maybe.
while.
Eye surgery. I agree.
But like, this is completely unsolicited advice on how someone looks, and it honestly like discounts that she's like a person.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is how she naturally looks. I'm sure most celebrities have gotten work done. Maybe
sure.
Natalia Dyer has, but it's the kind that you don't notice off
it
the
was
bat.
well done.
Plus,
yeah,
even
for
if
sure.
it was noticeable, that's her right to go and seek that out.
She
Exactly.
basically took everything that makes her unique and compelling to look at on screen and
took it out.
it vanished.
Yeah. Can I say I have a slightly unpopular opinion since we talked about this before the show?
Okay.
I think there's a tendency to be like, I have an expertise and I want to talk about it. I think this will set me apart and it might help me go viral.
Yeah, because everyone's looking to how to monetize their niche.
Exactly.
Right?
And
Like-
her niche is plastic surgery.
Yeah,
I
like-
get it. So you take a popular person and you're like, oh, here's how I would fix them.
I watch lots of like camping videos, stealth camping videos, camping in cold weather videos, and all of them they do a thing where it's them camping, right? And
have a shtick.
the hook is that they're like camping in a confined space and it looks very cozy when they're doing it, especially in the thumbnail. But most of them, what they do is they turn it into like a cooking show, right? Where they all cook a meal.
Okay.
Well, and that's like that's the hook for a lot of them. It's like people get to see them. Brave conditions, build a tent like out in the wilderness or camp in their car, and it's like there's this one dude who does stealth camping. His name's Steve Wallace, and it's really funny. It's like he camps on like a highway median, and all these like really like or like on a roundabout, like
Really?
yeah,
That's
like-
interesting.
like-
See,
What?
that's interesting.
Like-
and you can get in trouble for that. So you're kind of pushing it there.
Yeah, well, yeah, and his shtick is like he looks like scared all the time, as if the
Gonna
cop
get run
wouldn't
over
just
by
be
a car.
as if the cop wouldn't just be like, "What the hell are you doing? Get the hell out of here!" Like, but I think when you're like a middle class dude, it scares him a lot more than it would somebody who was actually like homeless.
Yeah,
so
for
he's
sure.
like his wife drops him off in like random locations to go camping, and he's always like his.
Like, bye, sweetie. I'll
his-
see you later.
His voice is always kind of scared, and like I'm like, dude, the cop would just look at you like you're nuts and
Sure
tell you
he
to
knows.
get out.
That's
Like-
part of his shtick.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Can I just say before we move on, though, I don't know what direction we're going to go in, but I wanted to say that I feel like this is a case also of women criticizing other women, and I don't really like it.
Just proving that the
Well,
trend
The girls support girls thing
Total
That's
lie.
not
is
true.
about women doing heinous things and then
Amber Heard,
expecting
baby.
no one to criticize them.
Yeah.
And if you are of the same gender and if you criticize them, then you're not a good feminist or you're not supporting other women and you're jealous and have internalized misogyny. But like, these are the same people like cheering on plastic surgery because I guess if a woman wills it, it's a feminist decision.
Yep.
But like, she's forcing it on somebody else.
Well, she's not like forcing her to get surgery. She's just giving her 2 cents. It's just not
Nobody
nice.
wants the 2 cents.
Yeah.
Like that. She's not asking for.
I mean,
the 2 cents.
she's forcing her so-called expert opinion,
Yeah. I agree.
which
it's
is
completely unwarranted.
warped also because she herself has an edited face and
Oh, 100%.
Edited,
You know she's
yes.
using a filter too.
filter
and a filler.
and filler.
Yeah.
And works on edited faces all day. She's incentivized to recommend as many alterations as possible
Yes, this
to
is her
make money.
business. Yeah.
She doesn't really care what looks better.
It's like going to a therapist. Their job isn't really
They're
to
like,
get
no,
you
everything's
better.
Exactly
fine
the
with
same.
you. Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Their job
You're
is
fine.
to keep you. It's like that's why they say like why would they cure cancer when there's so much more money
They exist
to
to
be made?
perpetuate themselves.
As far as therapists, yeah.
Honestly, that's all of Hollywood.
Yeah,
If you want
true.
to see a trend, like one of the cleanest ways to delineate when entertainment got really, really, I guess, woke. It used to be normal to see shows with women who would be catty with other women, and that felt real. And
Yeah,
true
there's
to
a
life.
reason it feels
now,
real.
It's all yes, Queen Slay. It's oh my God, you're such a girl boss. Oh
No,
my God,
that's
and you're
not
just like,
real.
I do not know a single girl that talks like that.
No,
I
it
do
does.
not.
Yeah, I worked in nursing. Girls don't talk like that to each other. They can be really supportive. I worked on a really good unit. We had great teamwork and cohesion, and people were by and large very supportive of each other.
Social media.
Yeah,
it's
that's
because
true,
it's
too.
because they fake it on social media.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You know, it's the meme. It's girls lie to each other by complimenting each other, and guys lie to each other by insulting each other.
Right.
And
So
it's like, oh my God, you're so pretty, and the guy's like, do I look fat? He's like, I know 5 fat people, and you're 4 of them.
Right.
Like,
so somebody asked why women can't criticize other women, and the issue
Yeah.
is not criticizing other women. It's that it becomes all they do. It becomes a form of gossip. It becomes very toxic very quickly. In fact, I was reading an article from a feminist about this, and she worked with a bunch of other women. She's like, this should be great, but this is the worst workplace I've ever worked in. It's awful. Like, I can't get ahead. No one wants to have my back. And in my unit where I worked, it wasn't social media stuff. It was very real, down to earth. I will help you with this task if you need help. Like, actually having a goal to work toward.
I think
really eliminates
this
a lot of
video is just unbridled
envy.
addiction to social media
and
attention.
let's be fair, she did apologize. So it's not like she doubled down
She's
on
like,
this.
oh, I went viral.
She says,
Sorry.
she said,
Yeah.
okay, that's this.
Well,
she,
you still
She
won.
deleted the video.
Gee, okay.
She deleted the video. So it
I think
says,
that's good.
I just wanted to come on here and basically clear the air. I did not mean to offend anyone, including Natalia, she began. I was simply just offering suggestions, not on what you have to do, just on what the possibilities are. And what I see here is like somebody who lives in their own bubble of work and is somebody who sees these things as positives for society. I don't think she meant anything malicious by it. I think she's just embroiled in her own view of the world and doesn't realize that when you give it unsolicited to someone else, you're not operating on the same wavelength. And social media is a world of different wavelengths altogether.
I think it's the same ghoulish impulse that we were just talking about with Chadwick Boseman, where people are so insulated from the real world and so I guess the first example was Hollywood. You are so in that bubble, and then with her, she's in her own bubble of her workplace of being famous on TikTok and everyone applauding what you do. You aren't open to criticisms. And I don't know, people just don't know how to be people anymore.
She's defined by her work. She gives a further explanation. She says, as an advanced injector, that's what we do. We look at faces, we assess and look at the possibilities, not on what you need to do or what you have to do. They're simply just options, Wilson continued before using herself as an example. She listed off the cosmetic procedures that she had done and revealed that she had gotten Botox, lip and cheek filler, and a brow lift. So she does not see it as a bad thing. Therefore, she did not mean it in an insulting way to this person. But it's the unsolicited nature of the advice. That's like the other people that come in to talk to you about this stuff made that choice to come there to talk to you about it, and that's fine. This person did not ask this from you. But
imagine being this person and watching a video where someone picks apart your entire face.
And to me, I'm one of those people. Like yesterday, I was a little bit more like, when we were talking about Kate Moss, and I'm like, I'm out of sympathy. I just don't care. And I felt a little bit bad about saying that after the fact. But to like this, it's like, on one hand, I'm like, oh my God, they're a public figure. Like, these people just need to be thicker skinned. But imagine being a young woman and not to sound, like imagine being a young woman and trying to ignore all of this stuff. And I'm one of those people that's very, very jaded when they're like, look at the expectations that are thrust upon young women. But usually when they're doing that, they're talking about it in the context of what they think men are telling them that they have to look like. This isn't a guy telling you
it's never men telling women what to do and where.
Guys,
it never is.
There's that the other meme. It's like no guy ever looked at a chick and said she'd be hotter if her eyelashes were longer.
Right, or they don't say, why are you wearing that dress again? They never do. That's a woman thing. All of the stuff that women complain about is typically from other women, and I don't understand why they don't realize that, or if they feel like they can't say it.
So Natalia, I keep calling her Natalie. I think that was the first time. Off air, I kept calling her Natalie.
There you go.
Natalia captioned her apology, hoping to clear the air. I was not suggesting that Natalia needed any of that work done. It was just an example. Of course, Natalia is absolutely stunning the way she is. That's why she's so successful. Well, maybe it's her acting talent too. I'm just saying, like.
Well, to get hired for an acting talent, you have to
she
look.
keeps saying the quiet part out loud.
Yes, swing and a miss on that apology there, but we're getting there. That's
Getting closer.
Yes.
Her tone didn't sound rude.
I'm sorry if people took this as being mean or rude. That was not my intent at all, she concluded. And that is the problem with social media, is like the absence of body language, the absence of a personal connection to the person you're talking to makes social media rife for a place for you to deconstruct what someone else is saying in the context of what you believe.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit because she did use video. If she had tweeted about this,
still not the same.
It's a little bit better. Ian talks about this a lot on the show. He thinks that video is a huge boon to actually like going above and beyond and not using text, which I agree with. But even if you're using video, like you were saying, if you don't know the person, you really don't have a place to stand.
The person could just be a good actor or a good like that. Like I can do this doesn't mean I'm good at talking to people in the real world.
Right, exactly.
People in the real world.
I wouldn't say that.
But I'm saying that people have, like, this can be a skill set that people have to be able to project their what they're trying to say to a camera is different than doing it to another human being.
Right.
So, at least the way I see it is like when I'm talking to the camera and we're talking to the audience, that's still a fairly impersonal relationship because I'm talking outward. I'm not taking in.
Yeah.
So
I guess like if you are just talking to your camera lens, you're not able to see like in a conversation you'd be able to respond in real time to people's reactions.
There's even times when I'm talking and I can see what you like because we're facing each other and I can see your facial expressions and that might affect like what if I'm saying maybe if I go off too far in one direction you can look at what somebody's how they're reacting to figure out how
if they're
to
like
how to adjust that's an extreme example, but you can use that as a way to adjust your speech or your choice of words. And that's part of the social of social connection.
100%.
Let's get to super chats, shall we?
Yes.
Professor Dolt said, "What's next? Ads on gravestones?"
Oh my God!
Right? Oh my gosh!
I kind of want to do it. Like, I'm gonna need a pop culture crisis ad on my tombstone. Like I don't want.
But
Times
that's
Square.
like really where we're at. Like this man is decomposing in the ground.
Just think about this. Disney. This is even worse. But remember when I told the story about Disney sending a cease and desist letter to the father who put Spider-Man on his son's grave?
Disgusting.
Told him he couldn't do it. Told the dad, you can't have
this?
Spider-Man. His son loved Spider-Man.
They had to change it.
He had to take. I don't remember if they. I remember they got backlash, and I don't know if they ever responded, but it was
so
massive.
Gross.
And so Disney's like, hey, it's not bad when we do it.
Of course, it's fine.
Oh my God, that makes it even worse.
Oh, right.
Think about the things, the social mores they decide to be sensitive about versus
Seriously, it's all a
what they
virtue
actually
signal.
are.
Yeah.
Which is a soulless corporation.
Which is why you should never listen to them when they talk about social justice or any type of diversity, equity, inclusion. They do not care.
Watch what they do, not what they say.
They want to make money.
That's right. They're a company.
Bad app. I'm not reading that.
Thank you, though.
Well, eventually we will get a T-shirt that says "Bad app." I'm not reading that.
From Bad App. Bad App will make the
one.
shirt.
Yes. He will sell the merch.
Nathan Settlemeyer said the nurse looks fake and frightening. Do you agree, Brett? I know you kind of have the hots for her.
I don't know about frightening, but definitely fake.
Yeah, she's definitely had work done. You can tell.
It doesn't bother. As I say, I always joke. I make the joke. I say anti-plastic surgery is just weird feminist propaganda. I don't want to hear it.
Caper2X said, as an RN, this sounds to me like a HIPAA violation.
I have to push back. It's not a HIPAA violation. She's just saying, here's what I think we could do based on what we do at our office.
Yeah, she's not a patient of hers.
Yeah, she's not a patient. Yeah, so you have to be a patient. It has to be personally identifiable health information. PHI. Those are the things they don't
She's just offering her opinion.
Right. Sure, you can offer an opinion. I can offer an opinion on, Brett's bone structure. That's not violating HIPAA. I'm not going to do it.
I was just like, I better not.
I'm not going to, but yeah.
C. Lynn said, this is for Hannah Claire's bank account. Her joke yesterday about Pat Benatar and Pfizer away was absolutely brilliant and broke me.
I need to look this up.
Well, basically, Pat Benatar is no longer going to perform the song "Hit Me with Your Best Shot" because there's gun violence in America, and that's bad.
But
so
she should have capitalized on the song when the vaccines were rolling out, so she could be like, "Hit me with your best shot" and Pfizer away.
That's great.
That's what Hannah Claire said.
That's a great dad joke, and I appreciate it.
I should have pulled up Vax that thing up. today. So we could listen
No,
to
Brett,
it after.
thank God you forgot about that.
No. Jordan Fuller said, supporting the grooming of children, going woke, and now using dead people's social media accounts for profit. These people have gone to the dark side. Vader would be proud of Disney.
Yup.
It's weird because you'd think that this would be normal people would catch on to this stuff, but we forget sometimes that we're in our own bubble of sorts.
Yeah.
That we're like I read this stuff.
A bubble of being sane and normal.
No, but they're not. They are
it.
not seeking out the information. We are actively seeking out the information. I know this stuff because I read about it every day. The average person don't have time, goes to work. They just know when the next Black Panther movie is coming out. Like I say, not everybody's on Twitter. Very, very few people per capita are actually on Twitter. Yeah. So it is.
Halls and the Kid said,
I know her.
Here's the plan. Save some super chat money till the end so we can hold a hostage party. So long as there's chats to read, they can't leave.
The hostage part.
That happens every day.
That is a very clever. That is a very clever.
It
one.
is a hostage crisis.
Dane Font said, LOL advanced
Injector. That's what she labeled her job as.
That's amazing.
Texas Tac Talk said, criticism for being a degenerate regardless of gender.
Yes.
That's based. Here's money.
I love it. That was somebody else's tweet. I think it's great.
I love that's based. Here's money.
Here's money. Yeah. Very straightforward.
Cool.
But I like the degenerates coming back because that's really what we're seeing. There's no other word for it.
Charles Fritz said Disney's objectives changed when certain people took over the company after Walt's death. He did not like them. If only they made more films like The Sword in the Stone. I don't know what that film is.
I heard that they removed Walt Disney, like a speech from something that Disney does every year this year as well. Like they're very quickly getting away from what Walt Disney actually stood for.
Yeah, sad.
Well, what did he stand for? I don't know anything about him.
He's not a communist. I know that.
He's not that.
Well, now Steamboat Willie is
public domain. So we need to make our own version of Steamboat Willie, where he is maybe like Steamboat Willie, but the Predator, kind of like how they're making the Predator prequel right now. Mm-hmm. I have a piece of art in my room. It's the Predator, but it's Calvin and Hobbes is the Predator, and Calvin has like a dart gun, and he says "Get to the chopper," and there's a helicopter behind him, and Hobbes has like a Predator head.
I love stuff like
body.
that.
Yeah,
I love it.
Charles Fritz said, will Lydia ever get her own philosophy show? I miss the Musashi Lives.
Yeah, so I used to do these little things called tea chats, and then we were reading some books and stuff. I have some big ideas for what I'm going to do in the future, so you guys should stay tuned and subscribe to me. Check me out on sourpatchless.me.
Nice.
There was a couple of chats when I was watching one of your episodes where they said they need like a Hannah Claire Ghost Girl and Lydia podcast.
The ladies of Timcast, 100%.
Book club?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they called it Hannah Claire Ghost Girl and Lydia. You're Ghost Girl.
I guess.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
at least
me.
I got my real name.
Graffer said, I don't know what currency is that? DKK?
Danish. Kroner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simpson
19.
How to get ahead in deadvertising.
Oh my God.
Deadvertising.
The world we live in is ghoulish and terrible.
Don't
I tell
like
you.
it. Yep. Don't like it.
And then there's one more there from Charlie Fritz.
There it is. Yeah.
Charles Fritz said Walt Disney had the same views as Henry Ford.
I don't know Henry Ford's
I don't know Henry
views.
Ford's
We're going to have to look that up. Now I'm curious. Hopefully not negative.
Did you guys ever see the show Warehouse 13? No. It's a great show where they turn like American history, early world history into like science fiction, where
cool.
like all of these famous like things like it's like one of like Gerald, like one of the like the first Ford motor is actually imbued with magic. And it turns it into what's called an artifact, and they do that with various things throughout history. Like they're all like imbued with magic from like the joy of human discovery and stuff like that. It's a really interesting and lighthearted show that gives you a much more pleasant look at like the way the world was built in kind of a fanciful way. So I recommend checking that out if nobody ever saw that show. So all right, so do you want to run this one? We're going to talk Stranger Things in the dystopian future that we are now about to go living in.
Sure. I wrote an article about this for timcast.com, of course.
Click on the read tab.
Click on the read tab.
As Hannah Claire would say.
That's right.
I called it Stranger Things showrunners have taken retroactively editing episodes too far and fans should be furious. They admitted to doing small tweaks on previous episodes, but now fans suspect they're changing the plot in previous seasons.
And the pushback on this is I've seen some people say that the scene in question here didn't happen, the edit didn't happen.
Yeah. So the small
Never
tweak that the
happened.
Duffer Brothers did admit to in an interview with Variety last month was it was a continuity error with Will Byers' birthday.
Yeah.
So
May and March or something, right?
Yeah.
Wrong
So
month.
in season 2, his mom said that it was March 22nd. And then in the recent season, he was celebrating it in May.
Oh.
So they had to admit that they needed to go George Lucas that, which refers to going back and like changing CGI, coloring, continuity issues after something's already released. They admitted that they were going to do that, and that their plan was to just splice in like an audio recording of Winona Ryder saying May in the earlier episode because it fits with like the shape of her mouth as she's saying March.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is not
I
too
love
crazy.
bad ADR. It's one of my as somebody who's hard of hearing and has to look very closely at what people
rely
are
on
saying.
their- yeah.
I love bad. It's one of my favorite things in television. I love when it's the
What about
when
motion smoothing?
like an over the shoulder shot and like the person's talking, you can clearly see the side of their cheeks are not moving. I love that. I live for that stuff.
It's hilarious.
You shouldn't be fixing this stuff. It's part of what makes these mediums time like.
Well, it shows that because the fans are the ones who noticed it, they're more invested in the story than the Duffer Brothers are.
Yep.
Or
Or the Duffer Brothers, they have more to do in like things stuff slips through the cracks. It happens.
I get it, but also like you don't need to go and change it just because you can. And I think they're trying to become czars at Netflix just because they kind of have the bargaining chips right now. They saved them in a really bad quarter, and now they can kind of do unprecedented things there that Netflix otherwise wouldn't allow.
This stuff should never ever be done, in my opinion. You shouldn't. The beauty of this art form is that it's perfect in its imperfections, and a lot of people love that stuff. They love to go back and catch
It's like an Easter egg.
They don't want you to fix it. They want to catch the mistakes and point them out. I love that stuff. Like one of my favorite things is in the show The Shield. The way the show The Shield was filmed was so frenetic that a lot of times you'll see cuts and you'll see a camera guy like leave the shot and they leave it there, and that's fine. I don't want you to go back through and key out that camera guy. I want him left in the shot because it makes me smile.
Right. It's like a flaw in a
Does it add
stamp.
to the soul? Or
Exactly. It
character
makes
of
it much more interesting.
I don't.
I
want
mean,
them
I
to
think
fix
just
this
do
stuff.
it right the first time
That
is
could work,
ideal.
too.
Theoretically, that's what they should be doing.
And so they also admitted they made small changes to their recent season 4 during its opening week,
Wow.
which Netflix had never allowed to happen before. They said it was for visual effects, and they had to convince them that it would turn out okay. And they were allowed to do it. And I believe that's because they kind of have the power in this situation. They saved Netflix's ass. They lost, like
970,000 subscribers.
Not that.
I think it was 1.3 million from both Canada and the U.S.
I thought it was just under 1 million. I could be wrong about that. Unless we're talking about the first quarter and second quarter together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that was unfair. They used the bargaining power to do that to the streaming service. They otherwise wouldn't have let them if it were like a smaller show. Now, what people are really scared about is that it's a theory. It's unproven. I'll say that. I believe it though.
Yeah.
They're theorizing that they changed a very pivotal scene in the first season at some unknown time. Someone made a TikTok about it saying they changed the scene of Jonathan Byers to make him look like, quote, less of a perv.
Yes.
And
interesting.
What happened in the scene, I don't know if you guys have seen season 1, but he is looking for his younger brother who had gone missing at that point in the season. And then he hears screaming. He goes to Steve Harrington's house, who has Nancy Wheeler. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I caught me off guard.
Nancy Wheeler is there and Barb is there. Barb is about to go missing as well, but she's sitting on the diving board of Steve Harrington's pool. Nancy Wheeler goes into Steve Harrington's house and she's undressing in a second-story window. So then Jonathan Byers starts taking photographs of her as she is undressing.
Oh, that is pervy.
As a teenage boy is wont to do.
That is pervy. I agree.
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
Yeah, he starts to question his decision. He like lowers his camera.
Right.
Realizes it would be an invasion of privacy, but then people remember him raising the camera and taking the photos anyway, and then taking photos of Barb at the pool. But they're saying they edited it so they replaced it with him only taking photos of Barb,
which would be a very easy edit to make.
Yeah.
It's better. It's better than like Disney when people notice the edits of like Falcon and the Winter.
Clumsy.
Well, no, Disney made these edits of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then like whenever people would complain, and then they'd put it back to the old way. They'd be like, "We have no idea how that happened," as if they didn't have to hire an editor.
I mean,
to
at
go
least
in and
the
make the
Duffer
change.
brothers are being honest about the fact that they like have no qualms with going back and changing things, but they haven't openly admitted to changing this scene. And the reason that they would have changed it if they did, I believe they did, is because they are trying to evade controversy later on. They don't want people to come after them years later for a problematic scene in their show.
Which is terrifying because your art should represent what you feel in the moment, not what you mean 20 years from now.
And
when
stand
social,
by it.
And
Stand by what you
your
did.
art.
Have some backbone.
I was trying to think of an example where this would be funny to me. Like I was rewatching the original Mighty Ducks recently. And there's at first I thought maybe they do a scene where at the end when Charlie Conway he scores a penalty shot to win the game. Like what if Joshua Jackson ends up being like a creep and they have to they don't want Joshua Jackson's character to get the win and they change the whole concept of the movie at the end.
Fake.
And they edit out.
Man.
But I think the better example would be there's a scene in this movie. There's a scene in this movie that I realized years later would be super, super terrifying as a kid. So basically what happens is the character of Adam Banks, he has to switch from playing for one team to another. And then when the two teams play, when the Ducks play the Hawks at the end, the coach for the Hawks basically tells two of his kids to hurt him and get him out of the game. And I'm thinking back to imagine the trauma of all the years later finding out after your coach or your Pee Wee hockey coach turned you into a hitman, right? So what if they were to remove that scene and it fundamentally makes that character less of a scumbag because the character is a scumbag, and it makes him less so, but because they don't want it to reflect poorly on what hockey does for the youth of the Midwest or something like that. It fundamentally changes that side character and makes him different. I don't want them ever doing that to something that is meaningful. The way that show or that movie is meaningful to me is the way Stranger Things will be meaningful to the youth of today.
I think it already is rather sentimental. If it's been out for 6 years already, people can't revisit the old seasons anymore and expect it to be the same thing they first watched.
You almost have to be on
really
guard.
Disturbing.
Yeah,
you have to be on guard, and then you wonder every time you see a change, you're like, am I losing my mind?
Yeah.
Or did they change something?
And they're trying to gaslight us into thinking that no, it was always that way.
What did we change? We didn't change. It sounds
But
crazy.
you can always compare it to your physical copy. And that's what I think the conclusion of this is that consumers need to get physical copies of stuff that they're attached to emotionally.
100%.
Buy physical media
100%.
if you can, if and when you can. I don't even know if the later seasons of Stranger Things are have physical copies.
Not sure.
I know the first season did because they talked about it in the article.
Yeah.
I do not know if the later seasons have that. That should terrify. On top of for a lot of it, it's not even necessarily so nefarious. Sometimes you're going to buy something, and then the licensing deal will run out with that company and it will no longer be on that platform anymore. There are shows every day I go onto my Amazon Prime and then some show that I love is gone.
So annoying.
And it sits in my continue watching list. I'm like, I'll watch an episode of that tomorrow. Then the day I finally go back to watch it, it's no longer available. And I want to throw my remote away.
Yeah. You can't procrastinate.
The problem I'm seeing with this is the precedent that is set. Given that Stranger Things is Netflix's flagship, it's kind of a hit for them.
Yep.
And they get to be the tastemakers or the rule makers for next projects. So if someone who produced The Gray Man wants to go back and change something in that movie.
Imagine trying
Who
to
is
change
to say
something-
that they're not allowed?
And imagine trying to, like you said, trying to change something so boring and inoffensive. As much as I liked it, it was about as cookie cutter of a movie as you could get. Like maybe they go back and like one day like they find out that the trash stash is now socially unacceptable. So they have to go through and Henry Cavill out his mustache like they did to Henry Cavill in Batman vs Superman. Mm-hmm. Imagine that. Or they're like, or Jim Carrey gets in trouble, and Jim Carrey was very clearly, I'm just kidding, but he was, to me, he was Chris Evans' influence on this movie. But they could do that if an actor, like if maybe not with a lead actor, but if some side character in a show ends up being a creep, they can go through and just deep fake out that person.
I don't like that.
And since you've signed your contract away, it's not like they can't put a new person in. Yeah,
Ezra Miller. There's your reasoning.
Well, maybe that's what they do with somebody pointed out that they don't even mention his character name in that trailer for Shazam: Fury of the Gods. They call Aquaman Aquaman. They call Batman Batman. But they call the Flash the guy with the lightning bolt on his suit, and they didn't show his face.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But he's not in that.
So, no, but in that trailer, Zachary Levi's character, Billy Batson's referencing him because they exist in the same universe.
Yeah, that's crazy that they can. You can even like desecrate a character you played by your personal decisions.
Yeah. Imagine that. Like me and Dane have argued before, where he says nobody likes the Flash. I say nay. You are wrong, my friend.
He said that about Ant-Man.
The Flash is a very well-loved character. So imagine now you're reading a Flash comic and all you can think about is how Ezra Miller's a creep and hiding women on his compound with guns available for people to pick up and bullets on the floor.
Another thing about this that bothered me is they're trying to make out Jonathan Byers as being like the same two-dimensional person throughout the whole series.
You can't do that.
You can show him doing something wrong.
Sure.
But that was the first season. You're 4 seasons in. If you haven't developed the character by then, that's bad writing.
They don't believe in that, though. They believe that the characters should be the same all the way through because they have to be as inoffensive as possible. Yeah. Characters are not written to have flaws anymore because that would be the flaws. They believe that any reference to anything is you tacitly agreeing with that thing. So by showing a character taking pictures when he shouldn't of a woman who doesn't know that she's having her photos taken, the weirdos on the internet believe that that's the director saying that that's okay when that's not what they're saying.
Right. Yeah, they could show his character evolving for him to be a better person. Then later give him another opportunity to do something similar, and he resists. There you go.
I could think of 1,000 examples of characters that I love that grow as even like a really simple example would be there's on the original NCIS, Michael Weatherly's character starts off as basically a creep and a womanizer and grows into like a full-fledged person and in many ways a heroic person in the real world in his job as an investigator for the Navy. But like the idea is that he started off very, very immature with tons of flaws and grew into a better person through character development.
That's a good character.
That's what resonates with people, and that's what they want to see. Yep. That's why people were maybe attached to Stranger Things so quickly because they showed a story like that's just human.
Yep. Well, they don't want to show anything that's human anymore. They want to show you the watered down version of the world that's safe for public consumption.
I don't like that.
It kind of goes back to we were talking the other day. Like the Hollywood did the best good for society when they were subliminal in their messaging. They did a lot of good for They did a lot of good for society by not showing smoking anymore, or defining it as not good for you.
Right, that's a cultural change.
That's a cultural change that they played a part in. That's why I take issue with the heavy-handed approach that they use. I don't know.
Now. I think at this point, smoking on TV shows and films is like the least of our problems.
but the point is there was a time when they stopped actively using it very often, and good characters were not shown doing it.
Right.
It was something reserved for bad guys.
Then it became something that helped you mark a bad person with someone
if you watch the show Lucifer, at least in the first, from what I remember, the first 3 seasons, you never see him actually use the cigarette. It's always like in the ashtray, or it's him putting it out. He never actually uses it.
Interesting. I did not notice that.
I don't know if they did that with the later seasons,
Weird.
but they did that with
did
the
enjoy
first
that show.
One, so.
There's I also wanted to point out there's going to be a continuity error if they did remove that scene anyway, because he answers for the photographs he took of her in the next episode. She confronts him about it and is like, what is this? So either way, whether or not you show him taking the photos or not, it is in the plot that he did.
Imagine taking the character from The Sandlot who fakes drowning so that he can kiss Wendy Peppercorn and changing it so that he's actually drowning.
Love The Sandlot, by the way.
Oh, you have evolved. You are truly a pop culture podcast host now. That is
good.
Imagine changing that and making it so that that's not true, so that he didn't fake it, so that he could kiss Wendy Peppercorn, his darling lover girl.
Yeah,
that would just ruin it. It would ruin it.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Yeah, because that would show someone lying, and lying is wrong, so we can't see that on TV. It's just weirdly moralistic for a society that is completely amoral, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's
Also,
a good point.
A point about The Sandlot is James Earl Jones has looked the same age. He's been like James Earl Jones
those people
for like 40 years.
That's
He's kind
funny.
of just James Earl Jones. All right, let's do some super chats.
Graffer said, DKK is the best crone. Take that, Sweden and Norway.
Oh, okay. Shots fired.
Maybe they'll respond.
Maybe they will. It's
Francisco
competition.
Sanchez Jr. said, PCC gets my super chats. Timcast gets my subscription. Keep building toward good things. Also, marry Seamus and Ian on a future Timcast.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would get that would get
spicy.
interesting for sure. Charles Fritz said, the Duffer Brothers should have made Barb's death unconfirmed in the first season and brought her back as a badass upside down Amazon.
Oh, well, I kind of like that.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
wish
idea.
that maybe they had changed that, but I don't know. It is what it is. Joy Boy said, Advanced Injector was my nickname in high school. That's really
Perfect for
funny.
episode 169.
I knew more than a couple of people in rehab who would have gone by that name. For sure.
No, it's no good.
Waffle Sensei said, the problem with changing content after the fact is that you could get 1 million perfect reviews of a show or movie, and then later they could retroactively make the content woke or add deplorable content.
True.
They could
It's very
absolutely do that,
true.
which is it's terrifying.
Yikes.
It's lying in advertising.
When you think about how quickly our social values have changed now, like what you said 5 years ago is no longer acceptable. You're never going to catch up. You're gonna like imagine having to be that poor editor where every 2 months they're like, we need to make a change.
It's that fear mongering that caused them to make the change in the first place.
They're terrified.
They don't want to have someone judge what they made in 2016 as immoral
And these
to the morals of 2030.
And these companies bend the knee instantly.
Immediately.
Like, look at
Made
what
out
Bob
of pasta.
Chapek just did. Like he's like, we're not gonna put we're gonna talk about it. We're not gonna put political ads on Hulu or Disney Plus. And then of course people complain and he just bends just like a freaking accordion. Just
Like an
House
accordion.
of Cards, just
no backbone.
Yeah. No.
Waffle Sensei said, speaking of doing ADR, did y'all ever mute the TV back in the day and sit around with siblings making up your own audio? Sweet memories.
That's funny. That's
I
great.
never did that.
That's a good idea. I like
Mystery
that.
Science
Me
Theater
and Lydia, in fact,
3000.
we're going to talk about a little bit of this later with our final topic here about Tom Hardy. But
yeah.
yes, I've always had subtitles on because of being deaf in one ear.
Yeah.
Bobcat said, isn't Stranger Things supposed to be about the West Memphis 3
I looked it up,
case?
and apparently it is inspired by the real-life story of Damien Eccles from the West Memphis 3.
Which
Yeah, I
know
heard about
that.
this from Taylor. She mentioned
Yeah.
that there's a character they added to the show in the fourth
Eddie
season
Munson.
named Eddie Munson,
Yeah.
based on one of them.
Yep.
Hobbit said, streaming subscriptions, gaming subscriptions, movie subscriptions, news subscriptions, podcast subscriptions, meal subscriptions, etc., etc., etc. You will own nothing and you will be happy.
Yep.
I posted this on my Instagram the other day. I was like, it blew my mind because we were talking about like BMW will now allow you.
Yes.
You can lease heated seats.
Woo,
you can pay
yeah.
monthly for like, and somebody's like, well, that way you don't have to pay for it in the summer. I'm like, don't you dare try and like
Don't even
intellectualize this mishgas. No. And then somebody else pointed out and said, yeah, you don't even really own you can rent Adobe now. It's like not like you buy.
What?
Well, yeah, like you can
buy it by the
like,
month.
You buy it by the month.
Yeah.
It's like you will own nothing, and you will be happy. That's our lives. We're never gonna get past it, man. All right, we're gonna move on to Podluck, which we still need a theme song for, but we don't have one. We're gonna talk about this. Yeah,
yeah, right.
we're gonna talk about George R.R. Martin saying that Westeros isn't any more anti-woman than real life history. Which there's one particular paragraph which is just. I was thinking about that Viola Davis movie that's coming out soon called The Woman King.
Oh,
I was
I'm
like,
sorry.
There's a name for that.
I hate the automatic assumption that being anti-woman equals pro-history, because throughout all of human history until, I don't know, the year like 1990, women were just second-class citizens. They were slaves. They had no autonomy. They were just basically cattle.
Anytime
like,
you see...
That's not real history. That's Hollywood history.
Anytime you see anybody say anything that seems like it's like somebody posting pictures of like vintage 50s clothing, or like they have like a clear affinity for that era. Someone's like, yeah, it would be great if all the women weren't abused in the 50s. And I'm like,
and if all the housewives weren't on drugs,
Yeah.
and all of them got beaten up, and it was just you're projecting the dysfunction of our day onto the days prior,
or even just
that you never lived through and don't understand.
All it takes is Hollywood, and this is why Hollywood and these places are so powerful. All it takes is one true story, dramatized extremely well, and promoted to the masses endlessly to make one true story seem as if that's everyone's story. And that is not the real world. That is not everyone's experience. That's the experience of one person who had a tragic story that did need to be told. But then the instinct is for them to equate that to everything else.
There's more to history than just the one story. Like
Or
you're
just
being very
more than
reductive.
just the bad stories.
Right, exactly, of course.
So it says, when asked about why Westeros is so against having a queen on the throne, at least they called her a queen and didn't call her a woman king.
Woman king.
Cringe. When asked why Westeros was so against having a queen on the Iron Throne, Martin said that the answer is similar to why women have traditionally been kept out of high-ranking positions throughout history. It's because men are evil. That's not what he said. He says,
no.
I get inspiration from history, and then I take elements from history and I turn it up to 11, the fantasy author said. Game of Thrones is, as many people have observed, based very loosely on the War of the Roses.
Right.
It is based on an earlier period in history called the Anarchy. Martin cited the life of Henry I, who was left with one illegitimate child, whom he named his heir. Once he died, her claim to the throne was challenged by her cousin, and civil war broke out. Sounds pretty similar to the synopsis of House of Dragon. I don't think Westeros is particularly any more anti-woman or more misogynistic than real life and what we'd call history.
Yeah, so the question with that daughter wasn't that she was a woman per se. It was that she was not legitimate. I would be willing to bet if you were to look back over that. Because queens have existed for a really long time. And an interesting fact about queens that most people don't apparently know, because history is super feminist now, is that queens were historically much more bloodthirsty than kings, because queens had less sacrifice to make if they were going to go to war.
And they had to also to prove that they were as
bloodthirsty as
the
a man. Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that was
Bloody Mary, anyone?
Yeah,
exactly.
There you go.
And I wanted to add, as far as the Woman King goes, that is based on a story of a kingdom that was founded on conquering and slave trade. So I just want to throw that out there if you think that's really a good feminist story.
There was a couple of like fairly partisan articles talking about that, said it's okay when we do it. But
yeah, sure.
The article was
it's okay when girl bosses do it.
Different.
It's not bad when the girl bosses do it.
It's fine if a lady does it.
Guys, slavery is actually girl bossery.
Apparently, yeah.
That is hot take.
Hot take. Oof. That's
that is clipped. That is a spicy one.
Kidding.
That is habanero. Yeah, that is spicy.
Someone asked, "What's that paper falling across their camera?"
What is that paper?
Welcome to Pop Culture Crisis. This is fake money. You can throw money at us. It's great.
Real money. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
you're right. It's real money.
What are you talking about?
What are
you talking about?
No, it's half real, half fake.
One of the funny things is, okay, so when I was watching The Gray Man, because I now see fake money so much, like at work, I was able to point it out. I'm like, oh, that's where it says cut. Yeah, like it was very blatant. I was like, should have cut that scene quicker because I could tell right away that that's what that was.
Well, that's allowed at Netflix now, so.
Yep, exactly.
Corners left and right.
Yeah, they could just make the edit now, and eventually that movie will not be called like they'll call it something other than the Gray Man. It'll be like the Gray Not Birthing Person.
Oh gosh. Can't wait.
Once we get to that point.
The gray opposite of female.
Yes. Oh man, that is what was the one earlier? Oh, okay. So I saw an article earlier about like an intimacy. It was about. I love reading about intimacy coordinators because it just seems like the worst job in the history of the world.
And HR people and like consultants for video games.
They kind of come in the same category.
They're all kind of this bubble.
When Greg Ellis was on art when he was on TKSRL, he had before the scenes. It was too spicy for the live show. He had a story about intimacy coordination with whoever it was he was with. I can't remember who he was acting alongside of. That spicy Latina lady in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
Carmen Electra? No,
that's
not right. I don't know who it is. I can't remember names. Okay, but he's like, oh, she was very pretty. It was frustrating. I was like, I'm sorry.
I'm sure it was very frustrating.
Yeah, super spicy. Anyway.
Oh no!
Sorry, no.
Like you were talking about intimacy.
No, I thought you had a story. I thought you had a story about.
No,
it.
I was just gonna say I can't tell it. It's
so
too spicy,
so basically, the lady she's talking about all the different tools they use to like keep it from ruining their modesty, as if that plays a role, like as if the modesty isn't already kind of sacrificing.
Like if you care that much about it, that's the type of thing that should not even be shown on screen.
And what they talk about is they said they had like it's basically like underwear without straps, so it looks like you're not wearing any.
No.
And it's like literally it looks like a little cup for men. And
maybe we
but
should
what it says it says and they call it. They said and a cup for actors with penises. I said they have a name.
Oh my
They're called men.
Are they?
Yes, but they gender neutral all of the language for it. I was like, no wonder everyone's so confused, and you need an intimacy coordinator on set.
Penelope Cruz. People are telling me was who Greg was opposite. My bad.
Yes. So it was just I was like I couldn't believe that they gender neutral that term.
That's
also
so gross.
Somebody pointed out Filipinex was used the other day.
Yes, disgusting.
Yes, we are in a clown world that is growing more and more clownish by the day. A friend of mine who went to the Chappelle protests in Minnesota was talking about how like there was a girl there who's like an anti-capitalist protester who like crapped in her pants in jail and refused to change.
Ugh,
and then when asked
disgusting.
why, she said because capitalism made me do it.
Okay, you can
literal
just sit
babies.
In it. It's very bad for your
literal
skin.
crybabies.
Like, I was like, I read that. And I'm like, some days I'm like, I know I have a great job, but some days, man, someday, like you read enough of it and it weighs on you.
It can get to you.
All right, I want to talk about something that's really interesting. Then, I want to talk about Samaritan, which is a new movie, or it's a show coming out starring Sylvester Stallone.
Cool.
Basically, he plays a superhero in retirement, and I recommend that everyone, if you're interested in something that's not based, from what I understand, it is inspired by the movie Unbreakable, the 2000 M. Night Shyamalan movie with Bruce Willis, right? But it's not based on a previous character. This is their own version
Which I really appreciate.
of a new
like
character.
That, yeah.
Go watch this trailer. It's really, really good. And it's just, I love Sylvester Stallone a lot. Like, he's one of those people that he's just got, we were talking yesterday where somebody like talked about like actors, like there's likability in actors, and they called him a bad actor. I said, he's not a bad actor. He's a great actor.
Oh yeah,
he does have high likability, and this role fits his niche really, really well. In this, basically, he plays a retired superhero who is now a garbage man. And then basically, like, this kid finds out and believes that he's this Samaritan that's been missing now for 20 years, and he's got to come out of retirement in this project. So it says,
I like that.
It takes us to the fictional Granite City, megalopolis. Is that actually how you would say that word, megalopolis? Filled with skyscrapers, cars, and crime. Working as a garbage man in Granite City, Joe Smith, love the name, Spends no, I do. I think it's perfect. Like if he's trying to be like under the radar.
Anonymous.
Yeah, that's right.
Spends his days retrieving precious objects from the trash bins and giving them new life, and a hobby that helps him pass the time. It's a simple and honest life, and that soon gets interrupted when Joe crosses paths with Sam one day when bullies are beating him up. Joe intervenes, pushing the attackers away with what looks like superhuman strength. After his fateful encounter with Joe, Sam is convinced that the garbage man is actually Samaritan, a superhero everyone thinks died in a fire 25 years ago. I don't want to play the trailer because I think that I think it would be copyrighted.
It has music in it that's copyrighted. No, we showed a trailer already for a different one. So
even then we played that one Chris
out.
Pratt speech and we got copyright claimed on
man,
that. So.
yeah, you gotta be super careful.
So I recommend guys go watch this. Stallone is that's Balboa Productions. He's doing all his he did Rambo, Last Blood. And he's also got a new thing coming out called The Tulsa King, which is he plays a mobster in that. He said he always wanted to play a mobster. He finally got to play a mobster.
That's
so
great.
He just had to fund it himself. So good for him. I recommend going and checking this out. It looks really, really good. And to me, like I said, every time they do these things and people get angry when the adaptation doesn't live up to what the previous version looked like, right?
Yeah.
Everyone gets mad. There is a simple solution to this. Make your own stuff. I'm not even saying you have to be super creative about like just tell us your own Superman story and name it something else.
They've been mining the most obscure characters and being like, "What, you didn't know about this one?"
No, we didn't.
No
one knew about that.
What was that horror movie that came out a couple of years ago about it was what if Superman went evil as a kid? It's called wasn't somebody in the chat will know this instantly. It started with a B, but I'm blanking on the name right now. Not let's see. See if anybody looks it up. But basically the idea here was it was like a horror movie, and it was like, what if Brightburn. Thank you. I was like, what if Superman went evil as a child? You can do this with new properties. You just and you get away from using the same characters that leave everyone angry when you don't adapt them properly. So that's all you have to do. All right. So do we want to do super chats or should we do Tom Hardy?
If you want to womp womp, we can do Tom Hardy.
Womp womp womp. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So basically, the idea here is poor Tom Hardy.
No one can understand him.
Nobody knows what you're saying.
Literally,
dude.
no one can understand
Tom
him.
Hardy tops list of actors Americans cannot understand and need subtitles to decipher. This goes all the way back to when he was in The Dark Knight Rises, and the first trailer came out, and he was Bane, and nobody knew what the hell he was saying. Nobody knew who
like
I
the
was
adults
till
from
I,
Peanuts.
till I put on the mask.
No one knows who you are now. No one can hear you.
And that goes along with Christopher Nolan's unique style of dialogue.
True. That didn't help. Yeah.
He doesn't help it, and it makes it more obscure. But basically, they're saying that nobody knows what you're saying, dude. And
I can't believe people are still talking about subtitles, because this is like a week-long conversation about how Gen Z uses subtitles more than other TV viewers. I don't know why that is.
Why does that matter?
I don't know why it matters. Why are we still talking about it?
I always use subtitles. Always.
That makes sense just because you have a hearing impairment.
Carter told me a funny...
80% of Gen Z does.
Carter told a great story one time when he was working at as a lifeguard, and he he had a thing where put on a movie for movie in the park or something, someplace where he was working, right? And he accidentally put on the not just the subtitles but the ones for the visually impaired, where it's
descriptive text.
Yeah, it's like Megan walks into a room.
It's like what Kamala Harris did the other day.
Yes.
I'm a woman sitting at a table wearing a blue suit and a mask.
So
what?
I have tried to watch movies like that, so it's like James Bond walks into the room, looks at Moneypenny. Moneypenny looks up from her desk, and then that's how the scene. And then you have to hear it over the dialogue, and he's like, "This is a weird movie. What the hell is this?" He didn't realize
I've done that before too.
That's a setting on the movie. So I recommend everyone try and do that one time if you there are people who are blind who love cinema.
It helps. Yeah,
it just it's a very different experience.
It's not what you're expecting.
It's a very
sometimes you're like, what is going on?
So the people that nobody can understand are Tom Hardy, Sofia Vergara.
Oh, that's not fair.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sean Connery, Johnny Depp, Jackie Chan, Ozzy Osbourne, Benedict Cumberbatch. I can understand Benedict Cumberbatch.
Really? I've never had a hard
Michael Caine, James McAvoy, Selma Hayek, Why can't you understand Brad Pitt?
What? Gal
That's
Gadot?
weird.
Gal Gadot has an interesting
Gadot, yeah.
Gadot.
I'm gonna call her Gadot. You cannot stop.
Godot.
Carry on.
She's but
Why is Benedict Cumberbatch on
But
this?
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
or even Idris Elba. Idris Elba is plenty.
Ricky Gervais. Is it like the slightest trace of an
Johnny
accent?
Depp.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
he does talk like he's a little drunk.
He
And
has a
Ozzy
weird accent,
Osbourne.
but he's
That
perfectly
makes
easy to
sense.
understand.
I was thinking of, or even Gillian Anderson. Her accent comes and goes because she was raised in both America and the UK.
Yeah,
so
maybe it's like a cadence issue,
Yeah.
especially with people like Johnny Depp. I think
And
that
then-
might
Yeah.
be part of it.
They list the show as Peaky Blinders, Derry Girls. Derry is a place in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
Sure it
Okay,
is.
yeah, it's
That's probably why.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I understand that too, because like any dialogue like that, like when I was watching Game of Thrones or even watching like The Witcher, that type of dialogue, it's not even that I can't understand it. It's I just roll my eyes and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. These are all accented,
yeah.
it looks like.
Bridgerton, Squid Games, Narcos, Ozark.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's another thing. Did you know that the Russo brothers threw their weight behind Regé-Jean Page for James Bond? I'm like, of course you do, because if he gets that role, it makes him more popular, and then the
they
Gray
go watch
Man.
The Gray Man.
Yeah, like, I
Yeah,
think
it makes perfect
it's not because
sense.
you like him. It's because you want to make more money,
Duh.
dude.
It's the dollar
Duh.
menu.
And-
I think Netflix is the dollar menu of cinema.
Well, that's fine. I like I said, I found The Gray Man perfectly inoffensive, and in a world full of annoying movies, perfectly inoffensive
Brett,
is fine with me.
as I said, you're too easily pleased.
Yeah, but that's because I don't actually get through the stuff I don't like. I turn it off. So, Money Heist wasn't even in English, so maybe the dub might be bad.
Yeah, maybe.
Doctor Who, Skins, The Crown, The Walking. Is it because you can't understand zombies? Like,
That's
I
probably
guess
it.
yeah. So, and then of course, if this was to be represented in a movie, they'd be making fun of Americans because they love to make them fun. Hollywood loves to make fun of Americans as dumb and stupid, like for not understanding other accents.
for
or
not being bilingual.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. They get very mad at. I remember the most recent one recent example. I was rewatching iZombie, and there's a scene in episode 2 where like a character talks about like it's a crime against your poor American education system, but the character is like just eating the brain of somebody who understands that language. So
Wow.
very good stuff. So.
Interesting.
But they do love to crap on Americans. Is like Hollywood loves to pretend like they're elitist and like they're somehow better than the average everyday American.
I saw a meme about this the other day. They're like, they were making fun of the American sense of humor, and somebody was like, "Oh, hey Nigel, come watch the Ministry of Funny Walks. Just a bunch of guys walking funny on Monty Python." And I was like, "Yeah, the British sense of humor is different. Doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's just different. You go look for different things in different places. Surprising."
It is very different. There's a meme from the Babylon Bee the other day. It said, "Good news, a franchise you love is being turned into a television show or movie. Bad news, it's 2022."
No. No.
All right, let's do some super chats.
Terrence Rice said, "Look up bad lip reading on YouTube.
Oh,
You will not
perfect.
be
So
disappointed."
good. So good.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's pretty good. Jonathan Harris said, "Most software can be considered rented at this point. Most EULA state that
It's
they
bad.
can revoke your rights to the software at their discretion."
It's even worse. Like it's becoming so Orwellian. Did you? Was it you that I was talking to about like how like Microsoft Word will give you like word suggestions now? Like,
Yes.
you don't.
Are you
want,
sure you want to type that
That
out?
is
Yeah, it's like a
very
purple underline.
That
I've
is
seen
a
it.
very offensive word. Are you sure
Don't
that
gender
is what
this
you-
language.
That is very
Oh my-
bad.
Get out of here.
It's the technological encroachment is terrifying.
Yeah.
Nathan Koss said, "I'm sure the Woman King will fully discuss how the tribe of the movie is based on was notorious for their slave trade and cruelty."
Yeah, I'm sure.
What they will focus on is the girl bossness of it. Oh
The
my
Woman
God.
King,
Loves
let's
it.
go.
Yes,
Oh
queens.
my
Yes,
gosh,
queens slay the enemy.
ridiculous.
A Hobbit said, "Pop culture crisis documentary. What is a queen?" Paid for by Pfizer.
Let's
yes,
go.
Let's do it. I want to do it.
We're doing it.
I
What is a queen?
I love to see things that are reacting to like certain parts of the show, and I don't remember
From
what
like
it
5
is.
minutes ago.
So
Yeah.
it said unfathomably based, Mary. Like, what
Yes,
did I say?
thank you.
It's forever a
Well,
mystery.
when you're as based on a regular basis.
it's everything I say.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
true.
Thousand
Evergreen.
Foot Deep End said, "Waffle Sensei, my family did the muted TV thing. My older brother was the best at it and had a great made-up phone book line during an episode of Becker while we waited for Star Trek Voyager to come on."
That's awesome.
My God, I haven't thought of Becker in years.
There, now you have.
I don't know how to pronounce this person's name.
Christos? Eretikos?
Eretikos
Is that Greek?
said-
Is that Greek?
That's Greek.
Yeah,
Greek
it
and
must be.
Canada, it looks like.
I love Pop Culture Crisis. Any takes on Vince McMahon retirement?
Look, there's a meme that I showed
Not
Tim
based.
right before I got here. There's a great meme. It's it says Japan tries to take down the U.S. fails. Russia tries to take down the U.S. fails and says U.S. and it's Thanos putting on the glove and says, fine, I'll do it myself. The government couldn't take down Vince McMahon. WCW couldn't take down Vince McMahon. TNA couldn't take down Vince McMahon. The only person who was going to take down Vince McMahon was Vince McMahon. And the unfathomable need to just constantly have sex with women that are far too young for you and professionally not, you probably shouldn't be involved in a relationship with because of the power structure of the company. But, you know, he was a CEO in the 90s. The fact that the stories that came out weren't worse is actually more impressive to me, that the stories were kind of like, you know, he paid a bunch of hush money to women because he wanted to have sex with women that he shouldn't have been having sex with.
Terrible planning, but
I don't know. I heard one thing about assault allegations. I never heard anything that conclusively stated that that was true. So I can't speak to that. If that's true, that's obviously awful. But the point was that the women took the money and then they didn't even stay quiet. Somebody like reported him and the board basically removed him and. Yeah, it's the end of an era because Vince McMahon would have stayed there in the gorilla position in the back office till the day he died.
Yeah.
He would have never given up that role. So
Yeah.
that is what happens.
So it's not based.
It is actually Vince McMahon was probably very based, and it got him into trouble. His wife was a 2-time Senate. She ran for Senate twice and failed.
Yeah, she's a cool lady.
She was in Trump's cabinet.
She runs America First Policy Institute.
Yes, and she was in Trump's cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
Caper2X said, Lydia, Mary, what's your opinion on Jax's song Victoria's Secret?
Have you heard this song, Mary?
I have not heard this
I just looked at the lyrics. It's kind of interesting. It points out that it is a male-run company trying to basically peddle eating disorders to young women. Unfortunately,
how so?
And I said because the owner is a male, and they
no,
want.
I'm saying, but how are they peddling?
It's like pressuring girls to look like Victoria's Secret models.
Okay.
Because
what does that mean anymore? They don't.
I know. Here's what I'm about to say.
Models don't look like Victoria's Secret models.
Here's
anymore.
what I'm about to say.
True.
The problem with Victoria's Secret now is that it just looks like anybody wearing underwear, and I'm like, I'm not going to buy Victoria's Secret underwear because I want to look like anybody wearing underwear. I want to look like a Victoria's Secret model. Why else would I buy this super expensive stuff?
Target is all ads of like the most normal looking people, and that kind of makes sense because Target is like your normal.
It's for the normal
but you're
person.
not going to Victoria's Secret to look normal. You're
Right, you
going
want to
to
look like fancy. Yeah. I don't get it.
Charles Fritz said y'all should try to get Mira Sorvino on to talk about her Hollywood experience.
Her dad just passed away.
Yeah.
Paul Sorvino. Yeah.
I saw that in the
for
headlines
sure. Yeah,
today.
She, I remember her having like there was a really, if I'm remembering correctly, she did 2 episodes of the show House or 1 episode of the show House, and I always thought that was weird because I thought of her as somebody that wouldn't do network television back then. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but it was like an episode where she's trapped in the Arctic and he has to diagnose her from like where he is.
Oh, wow.
like,
Interesting.
Internet connection. I think that's the same person.
Tyler Just Wants to Die said, would love to see a segment on video game news.
I try to do
we do some every
because
once in a while.
Dane is the video game correspondent.
We talked about Sims recently too with Claire.
There was a couple of things that like usually if we're gonna talk video game news, it's more general as far as like how it relates to culture because I play vintage video games. I do not play modern video games, so I don't want to speak on stuff that I don't know too much about. But whenever Dane has a video game topic, we try to make it more broad so that everyone can be part of that conversation.
Gold Mecro said, "Yay, Lydia! You guys all crack me up."
Yeah, I'm glad.
Some days, and we are getting close to a second crisis party, and it's going to bother
gosh,
us.
we're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Matt from Tinder said Vince McMahon ate my son.
I am very sorry to hear that.
That is the thing. He wouldn't have lost his job for eating your son. He would have lost his job for having sex with too many hot women. It's like the Joss Whedon story when they're like when he gets in trouble and they find out that he slept with all these actresses that work for him. He's like, well, I didn't get laid in high school. Now all these hot women want to have sex with me. What am I supposed to do? So that's literally what he said. He's like,
oh no.
He put his hands up and goes, what was I supposed to do? Of course I'm going to have sex with all the really hot women. Why would I say no to that? So and then men everywhere were like, guy's got a point.
not
saying that it's not a scummy thing to do, but at least
be
he's
a little
being
careful.
honest.
Jeez, what the heck?
Sure, you're a scumbag, but at least you're honest.
Bad App finally sent a chat that I'm going to read.
Yay.
He said 2000s was about anorexia and dead baby jokes.
Oh yes, there was so many dead.
What a time!
Mary, as a large proponent of wanting to live through the early 2000s, would have not have liked that part. I think the thing is, Mary, that we tend to gloss over the negative.
Part?
Well,
the negative parts are the best parts.
The dead baby jokes.
I think everyone should be able to joke about anything.
That is not true, because you condemn James Gunn for his jokes about
because they're not jokes. He's in
horrible,
Hollywood,
weird
and they
jokes.
are actually
any joke like that in Hollywood is probably a sign something's going on.
Okay, without evidence to the contrary, I'm gonna have to take James's side, at least that he is allowed to make his off-color.
I love James Gunn. Don't get me
jokes.
wrong, but that was unacceptable.
What I love about James Gunn's movies is that he's kind of like a weird edgelord Christopher Nolan, in that he's allowed to make what he wants, and they don't seem to interfere studio-wise with him.
Yeah,
a whole ton.
He gets away with a lot.
Yeah,
it's great.
like Christopher Nolan is allowed to make the Christopher Nolan movie, even if the people in the studio are like I imagine they're like watching the movie, like the executives, and like one executive like looks at the other and is like, "Do you know what's going on here?" And the guy's like, "I have no clue what's going on here."
Go with
just
it.
it's like, but it's Nolan, so he's allowed to do
of course,
that. Like,
yeah.
I watched Tenet, and I'm just like, I have no clue what the hell. Like, they're explaining things. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I have no clue what that means. but it's Christopher Nolan. The visuals are beautiful, and it's a fun, not superhero, not retelling of a previous story. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt, just like I will give Gray Man the benefit of the doubt, just for different reasons.
Okay.
Mary would say that's because I am too easily
easily pleased.
Easily pleased.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Someone else said Bad App sold out.
Oh, boo. Yeah, how dare you be family friendly?
Unavailable ID name said, how many times has he retired? He faked his death.
Vince McMahon?
2 times?
Yeah, but the thing is, this was not retirement. This was like forced retirement. Like, he was removed from
he
the
really is
like,
leaving.
Like,
bye.
he's still like he's still the largest shareholder for the company. Like, he's like I imagine that he has like it's not like and his daughter was named co-CEO. Like, she's like working with she's co-CEO with Nick Khan now. So it's not like Vince can't call up Stephanie and be like, I would like you to implement this story here. And she can be like, okay, Dad, I would love to implement that story. And then Triple H is now in charge of creative, which is what everybody that loves wrestling wanted for a very long time, because they love his work.
Mm-hmm. Gold Mecro said party. Thank you. You went above and beyond a party.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes. Give it a second.
Also... Busta Cap said dead baby jokes in Holly weird is asking for a friend.
It's true, and it's weird.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And that's not even what James Gunn was making.
Yeah,
he was making
worse.
Weird.
really
worse
weird.
But at that
jokes.
time, like, it was we've mentioned on this show several times how they had like how weird it used to be. Like, there was like a countdown clock to when the Olsen twins would turn 18.
Yeah, that's
MTV.
weird as hell.
Like, it was a different time, and people were.
That's strange.
At
least they were waiting till they're 18, right?
I try to not judge the morals of another time, because everyone acts within the range of what is socially acceptable. Right?
I suspect that all these jokes now are like starting to make more sense as we're starting to like see some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was more of an inside joke. When it was said.
Yeah.
Bobcat said, did Vince actually retire this time, or is he going to be back in a month?
He
hasn't come back yet.
No, it's been a couple of weeks, and he's still. It's been like a week or two, and he's still gone.
Oh, R.I.P.
I loved. I have a deep amount of love for old school pro wrestling. They are some of the hardest working people in the world. Like, to have to be in like some people make fun of them because it's like not real fighting. I'm like, you do not understand how good a shape you have to be in to work. Now, it's not the same schedule that it used to be back in the 90s, but they would work 300 days a year driving from city to city while being jacked and in incredibly good shape, and having to be in what's called ring shape, which means basically you have to have incredible cardio. and the ability to, not die of a drug addiction and steroid overdose at that time.
Right.
We were going to talk. We didn't really talk about it, but Shawn Mendes, like, I'm not doing. He's like
he's having a mental health crisis and canceled the rest of his tour dates.
You didn't cancel your tour dates when you were a pro wrestler.
IRL doesn't cancel anything for mental health.
You did your steroids, you took your opiates, and you went and did your match back in the 90s.
That's right.
And it shows a change in the culture that we live in, the world we live in today. And like I said, when I read that, I made a snide comment. And I made a joke that was rude, but like, I can't really blame him. But can you not be angry if you're somebody that bought a ticket to one of those shows and be like, oh, I guess I'm just out of luck now because you're having a bad couple of weeks.
Sorry, you're having a bad day, Sean.
Like, I get it.
I paid like $700, but okay.
Now, I don't know if like those tickets were already sold. Like, I don't know if like that, like if
they were. He's big enough that they sell out instantly.
Yeah. So they have to refund. Like, imagine that poor.
It's even worse.
Like, poor Ticketmaster or the venue, right?
Yeah, it's not
well,
good.
I won't say poor little Ticketmaster.
That's fair.
Well,
yeah. Huge racket.
But I'm saying like, I'm saying the poor employees now, or like even the people that run the business. Like, then that venue was booked for that date. Now they're out a crap ton of money.
True.
I do feel bad for them. They are a business trying to make money.
Like well, he's probably big enough to. He's playing stadiums, right? Or is he playing?
Yeah, definitely.
Woo! There's our pop culture crisis. I thought it was the fuzz.
That was pretty close to a hostage party, as Jessica would say.
Yeah.
Which is a great term.
Yeah, I love it.
Great term.
It's a hostage crisis.
So, a hostage crisis.
Yeah.
She said hostage party the first time, and then she said hostage crisis.
Yeah,
which
that's
makes more
better.
sense.
Yeah.
It's on brand, as they say. Oh, by the way, did you tell people about the change to the ad in Times Square?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if
great.
I mentioned it on here, but on IRL, we mentioned it briefly that I have laser eyes on the billboard now. Jessica made it, but it wasn't on the original one. Yep. So I was like, can we just like switch that around?
She was like, yeah, sure.
Next morning, it's up.
Like, haha.
We can do that.
There you
great.
go.
Easy,
all right,
easy.
there's two more there.
Bad app. I'm not reading that one.
She's not gonna read it. No.
Yeah. Carnell said, "Can we get a show on timcast.com where Mary reads off bad app super chats that she can't read on YouTube?"
Yes.
I'll become a member for that.
That's
well,
great.
yeah,
it's not just that I can't read them on YouTube, although that is totally part of the reason. I just don't want to read vulgar things because I'm not a vulgar.
She's
person.
not a vulgar lady. Come on, guys.
I think it's funny when other people say vulgar things. I just don't want to say them myself.
That's fair.
As if they're like my comment.
There you go.
Yeah, then you got to worry about people clipping it. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need it by your
that's
face.
the real issue. But yeah, it's not allowed on YouTube either.
All right. Yeah. All right. Lydia, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I always had a great time. Before we leave, I have to ask, did you guys enjoy the Terminal List?
I loved the Terminal List. I did not like Chris Pratt as I did not like it. I thought he was the least believable part
of the show.
Of that show.
Yeah.
He kind of maybe it's because you see him in like I think of his previous roles.
Jurassic Park, Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's kind of
he's typecast.
He's kind of typecast.
Sure
so, but I loved the storytelling of that show. I felt that every episode felt like a chapter in a book.
Yeah,
and that was effective storytelling.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was, but I'm saying, but usually when they're adapting these shows from books onto TV shows, it does not necessarily translate that way. This one felt like every episode was an individual chapter in a book.
100%.
One thing that I've been talking about there are shows that I would like to review on here, but we have a hard time because, like I said, I suggested it to Mary. I'm like, it's every episode's literally an hour long. There's 8 episodes. That's like a full work day.
Yeah, it's a
lot. I can't.
TV never used to be that much work.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And Tim's like, well, you could review one episode at a time. But I said, but the problem with that is if all episodes come out at once, everyone else is
Everyone's
done
know.
with it.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, I agree.
That was one of the things that they struggled with on like AfterBuzz TV. I used to love AfterBuzz TV.
You could do 2, 4 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah, even that's hard. Like if I'm speaking from somebody who used to love watching reviews, I would get turned off by like, well, then if I watch the whole thing, like, do I remember what episode they quit in? Like, it becomes too ambiguous. And I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah.
So it actually helps when like crappy Disney releases one episode a week because it allows you to just talk about that episode.
I agree.
And that's smart for them because it allows them to keep that show in the public consciousness for a longer period of time.
True.
Which is what they should be doing anyways.
Texas Tac Talk said Vince was not based. If he were, he would have married one of the women in a Catholic church. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
I don't.
And someone had to say it.
It's true.
I don't think Vince McMahon. I think on a list of things that Vince McMahon cares about, I think religion is down.
It's very low. On
is
the list,
down near like rainbows and happiness. I don't think he cares much.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
About that. So, was there one more there? Or was that just late reaction there?
I think that was late reaction.
I don't think we have any others.
That's it.
All right. There's one.
Oh,
more.
we do. Charles Fritz said everyone should watch Prayer of the Roller Boys.
Yes, absolutely. Another one of those.
Is that about
things.
rollerblading?
I've only seen Prayer for the. In fact, you know what? Let's bring it up. Old. Oh, and they should watch Brink and Airborne.
What are these about?
They are incredible movies that everyone should watch.
Are they about rollerblading?
Those two, yes.
Okay, just checking.
So it's because Corey Haim. That's so 1990. In a dystopian future America, a young man infiltrates a powerful drug-dealing, rollerblading youth gang that runs his town in order to end their reign for good. Does anybody remember? Andy loves Hackers. The movie Hackers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's his favorite movie.
Just picture that time period. Like,
yes.
It's a golden age
this
for
is delightful.
Galaxy Quest, all that stuff.
Great.
So the IT guy likes Hackers, and the rollerblader likes Prayer of the Roller Boys.
Oh, I guarantee you Andy loves this too.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah, the rollerblading hacker likes roller boys. Yeah. Shocker.
Tyler Hogue said, do me a favor and tell Carter to try the G Fuel energy drinks. That vlog about him being addicted was too personal.
Took that personally.
First time being able to watch the stream live. Love the show. By the way, Mary, you adorable AF.
Oh, that's cute. Oh.
And he censored himself so that Mary could read it.
Nice.
Otherwise, if the
so
language
considerate.
Ladies are present.
Speaking of Andy, Andy gave me this yesterday.
Yes, that rocket pop.
It's called a Liberty Pop, and it literally tastes like a like what do you call them?
Those little
rocket pop
popsicles?
things. Yeah. They're
it
ice cream
tastes
things.
exactly like.
Cool. I gotta try it. He offered me one this morning, and I was in a hurry, and I was like, not right now. Maybe
Does it have
later.
sugar?
It's sugar-free, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think Andy's a sugar-free person.
Interesting.
Contains 200 milligrams of caffeine.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
Ask no further
But,
questions.
I mean, it's red, white, and blue. How bad
that's all
could
that
it be?
matters, of course.
It's Liberty Pop.
Did you guys see the animation somebody made to like the Team America World Police song of the
America? Yeah, that
but
one.
with the eagle with arms.
No.
With the it does the whole song and it's like the ghettos. Yeah. I don't want to swear on the whole thing.
Yeah, don't
Chet
swear.
Hanks is allowed to say the F
Right,
word.
yeah,
I
not
don't.
us,
I'm
yeah.
not saying the F word.
Yes.
I wouldn't do that. So yes, Lydia, let everyone know where they can find you.
Anyway, yes, I feel like you're trying to do this earlier. You guys can all find me on Twitter and minds.com at sourpatchlids as well as sourpatchlids.me.
Perfect. Thank you. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram or WeChat at Closer Kitty, and whenever I post articles on timcast.com, like the one I posted today, I promote them there.
Will you be on IRL tonight?
No.
I don't think so.
Not for the rest of the week.
Not for the rest of the week.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett Dasovic for the show. Please join us here like you did today, every day, Monday through Friday, youtube.com/popculturecrisis, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you would rather listen rather than watch, you will not have a visual image when people tell Mary she's adorable. How would you know if you weren't watching? But if you want to just listen,
Twice
you can.
a day is not enough.
Exactly. If you want to listen, it's Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify. We are on social media. We are on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We will be back with another episode with Shane Cashman, who is not canceling this week. He said he will be here.
Okay, Shane.
We will be back with another episode with him
Let's go.
tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.
Bye.